Hey, my name is Chris, and I'm a full-time blogger, and this is 7 things that I hate about blogging. And I guarantee you, the last one, everyone will be able to relate. Hey, what's up, bloggers? This is Chris from the Blogger Evolution podcast, and I absolutely know that blogging can be a little bit kind of overwhelming, right? But I have made a very simple process that you can follow. It's my free blogging cheat sheet that you can go check out over at bloggerevolution.com. That's bloggerevolution.com. Go there right now. Sign up for the free list and newsletter as well. I'm going to be able to send you all types of cool stuff about what I'm thinking as I am going through my blogging business. So be sure to go check it out. bloggerevolution.com. Download the free cheat sheet. See you there. Okay, so I know what a lot of you might be thinking is, Chris, if blogging is so amazing, why is it that you're going to tell me all the things you hate about it? Well, I mean, usually whatever you're doing, there's probably certain aspects of the job that you just don't personally like. And to be honest, there are other people who are in this space, who are in blogging, who do a lot of what I'm about to say very, very well. It's just because my personal experience that these are things that I particularly don't enjoy doing within the space. But usually you have to put a nice little positive spin on it, and I'm going to try to do that with each one of these as well. So number 7 on our list is the time it takes to run an effective blog. Now, you have to have real true perspective with this, because usually when you are starting a blog, this is a long-term project. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you are doing everything right, within about 6 to 12 months, you should see some pretty decent income with your site. But if you mess up anything in the very beginning, sometimes you can delay that process by 12, 18, maybe even 2 years in. That's why it's so important to have a set of guidelines that you know work and that other people have used, so that you can make sure that you hit the ground running and don't make a whole bunch of the mistakes that I've made. And the time that it takes to build an effective site really can turn a lot of people off to blogging, which kind of is a good thing, because to me, I call that like my prove it period, or prove it period to show whether or not you really would like to blog, or if you're just doing this because you're trying to make some quick cash. But this prove it period, if you can get by this time, usually you're going to see nothing but ups, as you are creating your blogs. But the negative side of that is most people will maybe start blogging, realize they're not getting as much traction as they think they should be getting by month 2, 3, and 4, and then give up. Usually, if you fail in this business, it's because you gave up. You just didn't give Google enough time to be able to figure out what your site is about and how you can actually help an audience out there on Google. So if there's any advice for this, try your best to fight through the tough periods, because if you do make it to the other side, it's golden. It's beautiful to be able to wake up in the morning and, you know what, I don't feel like working today because of the work that I've done the last year. And if you really think that a year, maybe even 2 years, even if it took 5 years to build an effective blog that brings you $5,000 to $10,000 a month, I mean, what was your original plan before? If you think that's a problem, your original plan was probably to work 30 years doing something that you didn't like, and then hopefully retire with enough health and enough income to be able to enjoy it. So anything less than 30 years should be a bonus. But thankfully, it doesn't take 5 years to build a blog. You can really build an effective blog within about a year to 2 years. The number 6 thing that I hate about blogging is, going to be honest, writing content. Writing content is a little tedious, especially with what you have to go through with the research and actually putting everything together, formatting it, get it posted onto your site, and then just waiting. The feedback loop with Google is kind of slow, so sometimes you don't know if what you're putting out there is great until you actually go out there and put something. Which is why I always recommend that people should jump into something that they like and enjoy doing. If it's a hobby of yours and you're already active in the space, you're probably already online in forums and message boards and Facebook groups talking about whatever your hobby is, which means when it's time for you to actually create content for it, it's not going to feel like work, because you would have probably been doing this research anyway just for your own well-being. But now you can do it and find a way to make some money with it. This in turn makes the whole content creation process not as difficult because it's on something that you actually enjoy. There's also a matter of whether or not you have more time than money or more money than time. You have to figure out what your particular situation is. If you're just getting started and you're trying to bootstrap or try to do it as cheaply as possible, you probably have more time than you do money, which means you're going to have to put a lot of sweat equity into your site, most likely writing almost every single post on your site, which is perfectly okay. But as soon as some income starts coming in, then you want to hire some help, get some people to help write the articles for you. And an interesting thing thing that will probably happen is you'll realize that the people you hire to write your articles are probably going to write the articles a little better than you are, because that's what they do. If they're a freelancer, then they go out there, they do the research, they put the articles together, and they make it look nice. It might take a little bit of training to get them to have the articles look exactly how you want them to, but eventually, once they've learned it and they're moving, you're probably not going to have to worry about it too much more after that, and they're going to start creating content that's better than the content that you were creating, which will in turn make it look better on your site, be more helpful, which will then help out your Google rankings. The dependence on writing articles is also super important as well, because nothing happens with your blog unless you're putting content out there. I can't stress this enough. I can't tell you how many times someone's come to me and say, Chris, I've been working on my site for 18 months and I'm not getting any traffic to my site. And then I'll ask them, well, how many articles do you have up there? And they'll say 9. I'm like, 9 articles in 18 months? That's not going to get anybody anywhere. Okay, so you have to be able to put more content out there as much as you possibly can. For some people, that might be 30 or 50 articles a month. For other people, that might just be 1 article a week. It just depends on your situation, figuring out if you have more time than you do money. Now, if you have more money than time, then you can actually go out there and actually hire people to write the articles for you. Which then brings us to our number 5 thing that I hate about blogging, and that is hiring and firing writers. Once you start getting into the space where you are hiring other people to do work on other aspects of your business for you, you will have to inevitably get into the whole hiring and firing of people who are helping you run your business. Now, it's not fun. It's not. Usually, if I'm hiring a writer and bringing them in-house, I'm probably going to have to go through 20, 30 different types of applications before I find maybe 1 good writer. And that's not a good percentage, but when you normally find a good writer, it's usually worth its weight in gold right there. So it is a process, but what you usually find on the other side of it is totally worth it. But inevitably, if you are going to be hiring people, you're going to get to the point to where you're going to have to fire people. Sometimes people are going to take advantage of the situation. That's just the way it is. And it's going to be up to you as the CEO of your business to realize that, okay, you are hurting the process, or I'm wasting money on you. And if you try to give some commendation or some correction to try to get them to do better, but they're just not responding to it, maybe something's going on in their life and it's just not a good time for them. But usually you're going to have to cut ties with them. You need to be extremely black and white when it comes to this kind of stuff, but it's not fun, sending that email saying, hey, we don't really need you anymore. Thank you so much for the work that you've done. But I will say, don't stiff anybody. If someone actually is truly doing some work, even if it's their best work and it's just not good enough, then still pay them for what it is that they have tried to do, as long as they're not, taking advantage of the situation. But do what you can, give them the money that they are deserved. Just don't spend any more money with them if they're not delivering a product that's good enough for you to not have to worry about. Now, hiring and firing writers does bring us to my I think we're on number 4 thing that I hate about blogging, and that's being your own CEO. So listen to me on this one. When you work a regular job, you have a manager or supervisor, somebody above you who tells you what to do, when it needs to be done, how it needs to be done, what time it needs to be done by, and then you do the work and then you go home. That's how it works usually. But when you are the owner of your own business, you are the CEO of your own business, you need to come up with all of those things by yourself. You need to come up with your own self-imposed deadlines, your own metrics of what you deem is good for your business. You need to set goals for the business. And even if you set these goals, you need to hold yourself to a standard of actually trying to meet them. And then when you get to the end of your goal period or whatever, if you set 6 months and you say, I want to have this much done, actually looking back at the previous 6 months and figuring out what you did to either meet the goal or what you did to not meet the goal, making adjustments to yourself, and then going out there and then trying to do it again for the next 6 months. And then you have the added pressure of when you start hiring and firing writers and graphic designers and coders and all of these things for your businesses or for your website, really, you're going to have to understand that these people are living and breathing individuals as well that have lives and have families, and you're going to have to think about things that are important in their lives. Are you going to have consistent work for them? Are they just a freelancer, or are you going to bring them on as a part-time or a full-time employee? Those types of things will determine whether or not they eat, whether or not they have something to do. And sometimes if the numbers just don't work out, you may have to cut ties with them, and it's not a good feeling when that kind of thing happens. If the business is not taking off the way that you expect it and you're just wasting money paying them doing stuff, you're going to have to let them know, hey, sorry, the business isn't working. I don't have any more work for you. That's the reality of the situation, and they know it as well. But you as a CEO are going to have to make those decisions. And to be honest, it's not for everybody. It's not. And these things usually don't come along until after your website is much further along and already making a decent amount of money. But it is something that's going to always be weighing on your mind. The number 3 thing that I hate about blogging is algorithm updates. Now, algorithm updates can really happen with any social network or any platform, not just Google. It can happen on Pinterest, it can happen on Facebook, it can happen on YouTube. But Google is usually the main way that I get traffic to my sites using search engine optimization. And when there's a Google update out there or something happens and the traffic dips on my site, all of a sudden my heart dips because, that's our livelihoods, that's our businesses, and now we need to try to figure out what to do next. Now, the reality of algorithm updates, at least in my personal experience, I've been hit by a few algorithm updates, but usually I don't lose a ton of traffic. Now, I try my best to build my sites as white hat as possible, right? So, and when I mean white hat, I mean as perfectly as possible without doing anything against what Google usually wants us to do when it comes to building websites and getting them onto Google. But usually if one of my sites get hit, it usually isn't more than maybe 20, maybe 30% of the traffic. And in most instances, it usually recovers within a few weeks or a few months and might even bring in more traffic after that. So the positive of this is the fact that Google is honestly just trying to make the experience as great as possible for customers. Now, the reason this is actually a good thing is because the better Google makes their search engine, the better our businesses are going to be. So let me explain. Usually when someone wants to buy a business, they want to make sure that the risk involved with that business is as small as possible. And as a lot of you already know, the multiples for how much sites are selling for now are just astronomical, 30, 40, even 50 times the amount of money it makes per month. And I honestly believe the only reason why these numbers are going up the way that they are is because the value of our sites are increasing because Google is being more stringent. It is becoming harder to build websites, but the other side of it is so much better, because those of us who make it to the other side have nice, sustainable businesses that can stick around for years and years to come. At the end of the day, there is no guarantee that your site will not get hit by an algorithm update, but if you do what you can and do exactly what Google is asking us to do when it comes to presenting answers to people's questions as much as we possibly can, it's far simpler to build your site that way. And then if you do get hit by an algorithm update, it probably won't be like a huge hit. It'll just be a little bit of a hit, and then eventually the site will recover. At least that has been my experience. The number 2 thing that I hate about blogging is the loneliness. Now, this one is an interesting one because usually when we're talking about click-through rates and we're talking about CRO and SEO and every acronym that you can think about when it comes to this business, other people in our lives usually have no idea what we're talking about. If we say, hey, I got an article to rank on the first page of Google, or I got my first sale in Amazon, even though it was only 70 cents, they'll look at us. Usually people around us look at us like we're crazy, because they don't understand the business. The reality is what we do is untraditional, or it's not traditional at all. And because of that, it's not going out and getting a job. It's not going to college and then hoping to find something in your space. You are building a website on the internet, and that to some people can seem spammy or even scammy. So usually the only people we can talk about with this is through a YouTube video like this, or whether or not it's in the comments section, or if it's in a Facebook group, or it's in a mastermind or another forum. Those are the only places that we can actually converse and talk to people who are going through the exact same things that we are going through as bloggers. And as a result, it can sometimes be very, very lonely. Which is part of the reason why I love the fact that Carl Broadbent is doing the affiliate gathering, where he's bringing people together. He's bringing affiliates and bloggers together in a space where they can talk about stuff and just geek out about the numbers. If you haven't checked out his thing, I'll be sure to put a link down in the description. You can go check it out. It's going to be in May of this year. If you're watching this video in the future, like after May, I believe you'll be able to get a replay as well. So usually the best thing to do to fight the loneliness is just to not allow yourself to be lonely. Find places that you can go to. Another great place that you can go to is with Emilia Gardner. Her YouTube channel is amazing because part of the thing that she noticed was the fact that there isn't many places where we can hold ourselves accountable when it comes to building our website. So be sure to go check out Emilia's channel. I'll be sure to leave it down in the description as well. And the number 1 thing that I hate about blogging is being overwhelmed. With blogging, literally, if you want to build a site that's making money, there's about 10,000 things that need to happen, and usually they need to happen in order. And if you mess up on number 17, you probably won't notice until you get to number 400, and that's a problem usually, because now you might have to go back to 17 and fix everything that you did wrong the first time. And because of this, and because there's, gurus out there like me who are out there trying to tell you how great blogging is, sometimes it does come across that blogging is super, super simple, which it is in theory, but so is driving a car. But you still need to learn how to do it. Don't fall into the same trap that I fell in early on, where I just followed some guy on YouTube who said that he was getting a lot of money from his blogs, and then just followed the exact process that he was using just to get my website completely removed from Google. You don't want that. I learned from that mistake, and hopefully I can save you the headache and hassle of that as well. Just find yourself a process that you have seen works, regardless of who it is. If the process works, usually it's probably good enough to follow. Just make sure that other people are following it and have also had success with it as well. Blogging is actually not very complicated at all. You just need to know the steps of what to do and when to do it. With a lack of focus in this job, you're just going to end up with a whole bunch of half-done projects and nothing actually that you can hang your hat on saying that you built this and it's actually making money for you on the internet. This is something that I even struggle with, even as an experienced blogger, and I know other people are as well. You just got to create these processes and just roll with them. And to get some help with being able to follow a proven process that actually works, be sure to go check out bloggerevolution.com. That's bloggerevolution.com. There I have a free cheat sheet, blogging cheat sheet that literally has 70 steps of what you need to do and when you need to do it to get your website up and running. So be sure to go check it out, bloggerevolution.com, and I'll see you there.